but wait a minute, they're telling me that inflation is coming down. That impacts the currency, but yet my bills are up substantially. Maybe they pull back a little bit more. That's what she's talking about. The speed at which you are losing purchasing power has slowed down a bit. But you've been losing purchasing power since the day you were born.
Amidst the ebb and flow of economic discourse, one topic commands attention like no other: inflation. With her latest video, Lynette Zang dives headfirst into the contentious debate surrounding inflationary trends. It is Zhang's incisive analysis that promises to illuminate the discrepancies between perception and reality as the rhetoric swirls. Our journey through economic dynamics will uncover the truth behind Yellen's assertions and what inflation looks like. So, don't go anywhere. Stay connected till the end of this important video.
Now, what's inflation? Oh, Jenny Yellen calls market reaction to inflation data a tremendous mistake. Come on, public. What is it that you're not looking at that you should be looking at? And she says, I think it's a tremendous mistake to focus on minor fluctuations and to have failed to see the longer term and big trends. And the trend here is that inflation is moving decisively down. It's slowing down maybe in certain areas, and it's speeding up in other areas. That's the loss of the purchasing power, which matters more to you and me. But inflation, I'm going back to this because she's right. It's important to see the longer term and bigger trend. So what is that trend? It's this, right? That's the trend. That's the long-term trend. This is where the dollar came out. Remember, Paul Volcker raised those interest rates up to actually 21.5% intraday, and the interest rates have been going down. So has the value of the dollar against other currencies. So now let me just go back to that. That is the longer trend. But for the public, gas is up 40%, groceries are up 30%. Why do Americans think the economy is bad? Because their personal experience, their purchasing power is horrible by design, where governments could tax you. That's that almost invisible inflation tax. Yeah, if they can keep it at 2%. But the reality is you need real money, gold, silver, to maintain your standard of living, because the system is set up for them to be able to rob you of your standard of living. So is the market reaction to inflation data a tremendous mistake? Or are people now suddenly going, but wait a minute, they're telling me that inflation is coming down. That impacts the currency. But yet my bills are up substantially. Maybe they pull back a little bit more. That's what she's talking about. The speed at which you are losing purchasing power has slowed down a bit. But you've been losing purchasing power since the day you were born. We all have. And this is the purchasing power chart. This is the one that matters the most to you and me. I'm just going back because you've seen the long one many, many times. So I'm just going back to 2020. People think, they want you to think, oh, everything is hunky-dory and great, and look at you've made so much, you're making so much more money. Well, this is the official purchasing power, and that is down in a very rapid and pervasive way. So all they're talking about is a little bit of slowing, but this is the one that matters to you and me, and why gas is up 40% and food is up 40%, et cetera, while the cost of insurance, why the cost of everything is up, is because the value of this crap, as they print more and more of it to hide the problems and transfer the wealth, that's what does it. Every time they print money, you lose purchasing power. This is the official consumer price index. So the CPI, the inflation data. Again, if I went all the way back to the beginning, you just see that it always goes up, right? But you can see right now, even just since 2020, which is that gray line, that it costs you more to live, and your wages do not keep pace with it. So what you're looking at here is the one that matters the most. It's the fiat money, this stuff, versus what you can buy with it. And by the way, the only difference between inflation and hyperinflation is the speed of that inflation. There are a number of different entities that actually track the real costs of data going up. The Chaplin Index is one of them, and it reflects the true cost of living in America. And I don't need to go through all of these, but this is an average of the lowest one is 10.1% annually that happens to be in Phoenix. But you can see that the CPI that they're telling you, the inflation that they're telling you, is just a lie, right? It's just, okay, let's just hide things and then we'll tell people that and they just won't get it and we'll continue to get away with it. But the data solidly supports what many Americans have suspected for years. The CPI no longer measures the true increase required to maintain a constant standard of living. Because they'll take, steak gets too expensive, they'll pull that out and they'll put in chicken. Oh, chicken is too expensive, they'll pull that out and they'll put in hot dogs. So that's called hedonics. They just keep changing things. This is the main reason that more people are falling behind financially and why more Americans rely on government entitlement programs and credit cards and debt to retain that standard of living. But when people hear conflicting information on the same topic, it creates cognitive dissonance. And what happens to most people when that happens is they just dismiss it. They just can't think about it. And that enables the central banks and the governments to get away with it. And then finally, this is the front facing to what people see, which is a contract. This is a spot gold contract. It's supposed to represent gold in the ground, unmined, unminted, but the reality is it's just a trading vehicle to control the visible price. And what do we see? We see this breakout, right? It's still being suppressed. It's like a spring, and I'm not really good at doing this yet, but when you hold down a spring and you hold it down, you hold it down, you hold it down. I'm going to get better at that. When you release it, it shoots in a direction unless they have to put even more pressure on it. And I've shown you the derivatives, the gold contract derivatives that held in the FDIC insured deposits. But since gold is good money, this stuff is fiat money, I made a comparison so you could see it for yourself. And this is a relative performance chart. And spot gold is in red and the US dollar index is in that blue. And so you can see that, yes, spot gold is a lot more volatile, but it's taken more and more and more pressure to suppress the price because the dollar is actually performing really poorly in this environment. Of course it is. You saw that it's dying against even all those other currencies, against your purchasing power. And what you're looking at here is the PCGS 3000, so this kind of level of coin. And that level of coin has had a decisive breakout because this is a physical only market. So these are the ways that you can value different currencies. It's one fiat against another fiat. It is purchasing power, which is what matters most to us. And it's with contracts. What are you going to believe? Let's believe the physical. Because here is another customer or viewer question. And he said, my father, who all his life traded cows and baby beef, always said for the last 200 years, 1 ounce of gold then and now. Check it out if it's true. Buys a cow. Well, here you go. I did check it out. And even though I could only go back to 96, if you look at the spot price of gold versus the cow, guess what you find? Your father is right. And I think that's important to understand that when you accept your experience, instead of going into denial, which is what a lot of people do because of this cognitive dissonance, it doesn't really serve you well.
And there you have it, folks. We've peeled back the layers of economic analysis to reveal a fascinating divergence of views on inflation. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with Lynette Zang's perspective, or do you have a different take? As always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Happy exploring.